You now have a solid understanding of creating exhibits, as well as adopting animals and hiring staff to look after your zoo and your precious animals. But are your animals really happy? Unhappy animals will not only suffer, but may behave in undesirable ways. And worse, your visitors will not enjoy looking at depressed or angry animals, which leads to unhappy visitors who will not return to your zoo. Let's have a look at how to enrich your animals' lives and make them happy. Left-click on the Animals List and Details menu button. Then left-click on the Animal List tab. Finally, double-click on the first kangaroo from the list. Notice the Animal Details toggle button? This button provides a wealth of information about your red kangaroo. It currently displays information on your red kangaroo, including its current activity, its gender, rarity, strength, fierceness, and life expectancy, among other self-explanatory information. Training potential indicates your animal's ability to learn tricks and to perform in animal shows. The higher the value, the easier and faster your animal can be trained. Left-click on the Animal Attributes button to continue. Now we're looking at your red kangaroo's attributes. Of special importance, notice how everything listed here is in red? That means you have not met the animal's ideal requirements. You will have to improve the exhibit so that your red kangaroo can live both happily and comfortably. Let's take a look at some of the animal's preferences and see what each of them mean. Preferred flora are the types of plants, trees, and other vegetation your animal likes. Preferred rocks and coral are the types of rocks normally found in the animal's natural habitat, and therefore preferred by the animal in its exhibit. Preferred animal toys are items designed to enrich the lives of your animals. Placing these items in an exhibit is sure to please your animals, as they will have lots of fun interacting with the toys. Preferred enhancements are items that simulate the animal's natural habitat and help approximate the exhibit to its real-world equivalent. Preferred shelters are the ideal places for your animals to rest or sleep in. Left-click on the next button to continue. Let's continue along the list. Preferred fencing is not only the type of fence the animal would like to see for its exhibit, but also the ideal type of fencing to prevent the animal from escaping. Terrain composition refers to the amount of each type of terrain the animal would feel most comfortable with. Water ratio refers to the percentage of water that the animal would like to have in its exhibit. Finally, we have the animal's compatibility. This list will indicate what other species of animals are compatible with the selected animal. Animals on the list can peacefully coexist. If they are not on the list, however, expect to see unhappy or angry animals. A word of advice: do not mix carnivore and herbivore animals together. You can imagine what will happen if you do. Left-click on the next button to continue. Let's take a look at the icons under the Animal Preference list. Free space required lets you know whether the animal needs just a small exhibit, a medium-sized exhibit, or requires a large exhibit in order to live happily. Terrain geometry refers to the terrain features found in the animal's natural habitat and what the animal expects to find in its exhibit. There are three types of terrain geometry: flat, hilly, and mountainous, and these are represented by their respective icons. Social structure is the animal's natural preference for sharing their exhibit with others of the same species. Some animals flourish in large groups. Others don't mind sharing their space with a few other animals of the same species. Some animals, however, prefer to live out their lives in solitude, tolerating perhaps only one animal of the opposite gender from the same species. These three types of social structures are represented by their corresponding icons. Privacy needs indicates if the animal does not mind the presence of visitors, would prefer to be seen by relatively few visitors, or absolutely cannot stand the presence of any visitors. These 3 degrees of privacy are indicated by their respective icons. Left-click on the next button to continue. If you ever want to make sure that your animal is happy as can be, simply follow this checklist. It details everything that your kangaroo enjoys and prefers. It's safe to assume that if an item is not on the list of preferences, your animal will not like the item very much. Here's a tip. Instead of constantly switching between menus, When viewing the animal's preferences and placing animal enrichment items, you can left-click on the Animal Preferences Tearaway button. It will keep the animal's preference list on screen. No more juggling between panels. You can also find tearaway buttons for the Zoo Consultant and Goals menus, which you can keep permanently on screen and will save you many a click. Go ahead and left-click on the Animal Preferences Tearaway button to continue. Your kangaroos like gum tree eucalyptus trees, so let's add a few to the kangaroo exhibit. Left-click on the Animal Enrichment menu button, then on the Flora tab, then on the gum tree eucalyptus, and add 2 of these trees in the kangaroo exhibit. But keep an eye on your kangaroo. If you want to save a few more clicks, you can left-click directly on the gum tree eucalyptus. Did you notice the floating happy faces? That means your kangaroo likes the new additions you have made to the exhibit. Now, add 2 more gum tree eucalyptus trees, and again, keep an eye on your kangaroo. This time, there were no happy faces when you added the last tree. This means placing more trees will not make the animal any happier, nor will it raise the kangaroo's comfort rating. It's time to move on with the checklist. The next item is Exhibit Rocks. Kangaroos enjoy scrublands dry rock formations, so go ahead and add 2 scrublands dry rock formations by left-clicking on the Rocks tab. Good. Now, left-click on the Delete button and double left-click to delete 1 rock. But keep an eye on your kangaroo. You'll see an unhappy face floating. This means your animal does not approve of your latest effort at exhibit decoration. Let's undo the last action by left-clicking on the Undo button. Then go ahead and add as many rocks as your animal wants. Left-click on the next button to continue. Your animals need some sort of shelter in order to sleep comfortably when they are tired. You can find all types of shelters by left-clicking on the Shelter tab in the Animal Enrichment menu. Go ahead and add the kangaroo's preferred shelter. That's basically it. As long as you fulfill your dear kangaroo's preferences, it will be one happy animal indeed. Just follow the animal's preference checklist. Look for any happy or unhappy faces, and you and your kangaroo will be just fine. Left-click on the next button to continue. Before we move on, there's an easy way to adjust and delete any item, animal, or staff in your zoo. By pressing Shift while you left-click, you can delete items. If you press Delete when the staff, animal, or items details menus are on screen, you can also delete the corresponding highlighted item. If you press Control while you left-click, you can move items. Go ahead and add a few more items. Then adjust them and finally delete a few so you get the feel for these controls, and when you're ready, left-click on the next button to continue. Your animals are resilient and will survive even in poorly designed exhibits, but there is one thing they cannot dispense with: water. Your poor kangaroos do not have any drinking water in their exhibit. Left-click on the Terrain Editor button. Then dig a hole in the exhibit in order to create a body of water by left-clicking on the Fresh Water button. Make sure you keep on digging until you see water appear. You will also see the happy faces appear above your kangaroo's head. Continue digging a hole to accommodate a body of water that is roughly 10% of the total exhibit size. Hint: the ideal place to add water has been marked with mud. When you're done adding water, left-click on the next button to continue. Sometimes you'll notice thought balloons floating above the heads of your animals. These thought balloons give you information on the animal's needs and thoughts. Some animals may be hungry, while others may be in need of veterinary assistance. Thought balloons that appear in white are merely indicators of their needs and general mood. If the thought balloon turns yellow, it normally indicates a problem that has persisted for some time, yet has not been resolved. Thought balloons in red are serious problems that need your urgent attention. Otherwise, your poor animal may behave erratically, or worse, die. As a zoo entrepreneur, it is your duty to make sure that all animals live peacefully, happily, and comfortably, so it behooves you to resolve their needs. Left-click on the next button to continue. Another easy way to see whether you have a suitable exhibit that allows your animals to enjoy life to the fullest is through your zoo consultant. Left-click on the Animal Menu button. Select a kangaroo as you've done before, then on the Zoo Consultant's Advice button. Your friendly zoo consultant will give you additional information you may... Good! The zoo consultant is another way to gauge the needs and preferences of your animals. And although his advice may not be as exact as the animal preferences checklist, he is often more insightful with his comments. Another way to find out more about your animals and their state of well-being is to double left-click on your animal's thought balloons. Your friendly zoo consultant will also be there to give you advice. Simply mousing over a thought balloon will also provide a help tip. The Zoo Consultant panel also features a tearaway that you can use to gain quick access to important hints and suggestions. So when you're ready, left-click on the tearaway button to continue. Let's recap what we've covered in this tutorial. Your animals need to be attended to in order for them to lead a happy and comfortable life, which in turn will please your visitors. Visitors do not like to see unhappy animals. Remember to use the Animal Details toggle button to view their information, attributes, and, more importantly, their preferences. And check up on them often. If you follow an animal's preferences when improving their exhibit suitability, you will definitely make them feel much more at home in your zoo. Don't forget to add water to the exhibit. Animals can live in hostile conditions, but they cannot dispense with water. Your zoo consultant can give you further insight on the needs of your animals, so remember to check back with him often. Your animal's thought balloons are good indicators of their needs. Do not let red thought balloons go unattended. Well, I guess this is all there is to knowing how to make your animals live happily and comfortably as can be. I'll leave the rest to you now. Remember to check your goals, and good luck.